Well, a vigorous contribution was given by Paul Moulton, who runs a local TV video news service for Manx Telecom. He spoke of Manx Radio losing its moral and broadcast compass, that it would be better if the BBC took over. Manx Radio MD Anthony Pugh was incidentally in the gallery listening, one of 4 members of the public attending. Mr. Moulton said Manx Radio had de-Manxified itself. It had lost its way, he told the committee. I asked him afterwards about that moral compass assertion.
I just think it's been de-Manxified a lot over the years, really, John. You know, the last few years, it's because it's chasing a ratings sort of game with the radar, and therefore the quality is easily met by putting out more music programmes and taking away the speech. As in, you know yourself, the amount of broadcast news that's through the day has been cut back significantly over the years.
Well, I don't know that myself. Obviously, I'm just speaking as a broadcaster. But you worked for Manx Radio. Had it lost its compass when you worked for it?
No, I think not. I think it was playing to everyone's needs in those days because there was no other player in town. So you had to really try to mix and match everything together. I mean, my point was that maybe in the mornings now is a need for an AM music service when 2 other radio stations are doing that. And you yourself, you know how difficult it is to produce a mandate. And the wheels, as Mr. Pugh said in the past, are always coming off because you're stripped down to the bare minimum. There's only one person in play there. And, you know, you've got more resources you could use in a better way. I mean, that's where I think you should be 2 or 3 people involved in that sort of programme. It's a flagship programme, John, the day.
Which you suggested the BBC should take us over.
I said the BBC have in the past, when they did the last meeting here about the licence fee, said they're between $1 million and maybe even $2 million short on what they're spending on the Isle of Man.
You actually heard that because that was queried by the committee.
Yeah, well, I'll just check the words. It's on an interview I did with them afterwards as well, so I'm going to check that in a few minutes. But there certainly was that offer that they were underspending, and I've suggested that they also go to make a freedom information request to the BBC anyway and find out what they are spending on Jersey and Guernsey. Take in mind they're running 2 radio stations, they're running a television service as well. I mean, there's a lot of people involved, but they come from a different way, John. I mean, the radio output is a speech with music, right? They've got across the road, they've got Channel 103, which is actually the most popular station in the British Isles when they're doing the radar count. The BBC obviously was the only player in town, but they'll have somebody on the road all day. One of the guys in the newsroom, their job is to be out and about, like yourself doing Hit This Now. And they're reporting in throughout the day. Now, you know yourself, you've got your segments for doing the speech content. You know where you're going to be.
Without getting specific, though, about the programme on the Isle of Man, you're obviously in direct competition to the Isle of Man in collecting news and collecting current affairs. And your evidence was given with that background. I mean, you would criticise Manx Radio, some would say.
No, I like Manx Radio. I mean, I've brought from 14. I used to take me back to school. Yeah. Remember? Yeah. We used to work on Saturdays together when I was at school, and you'd take me back. I mean, that's how far back we go.
Try to be objective here, Mr. Moulton.
Mr. Moss.
But can you not be seen as someone who is in direct competition to Manx Radio and giving evidence from that point of view?
Why am I in competition with it?
Well, you run current affairs. You want people to watch your service. You want people to tune into your service, as opposed to Manx Radio.
It's totally different. You're a linear service. You're there all day long. I'm just putting up items like you'd put on your website. I mean, that's completely different. I'm not running a television station. I'm just providing...
Do you feel the evidence you gave the committee was objective?
I hope it was. It's tricky because it can always come across as bitter and twisted if you're not careful. I mean, we've had our arguments in the past. I would like to do more work together. I think we could do so much more. My audio, for instance, can be used in the radio, but we've never been able to come to any arrangement. I'm probably blacklisted almost from being on radio by Manx Radio, by the management, because they think I am probably a bit of a thorn in their sides. I think I'm just trying to balance the books.
I mean, as a reporter, listening to what you said today, with Mr. Pugh, the managing director, sitting there, you can understand that point of view. You were very critical, fiercely critical of Manx Radio.
Well, I've got to question you on this. I mean, when Mr. Berry was doing his presentation at the PAG meeting, you were there, and also Marion Kenny, yet neither of you decided to interview him. Why didn't you interview him?
We both went there as interested observers. No, we weren't actually there as journalists, we were there as interested observers.
That's not true, because you interviewed the other person that was also speaking that night, weren't you? You did interview the other person. You didn't interview Ron Berry, and it never made the radio. I'm surprised, because I think you are fiercely got to protect yourself, your independence in the newsroom, to make sure that you do present the wider picture to the public about the different aspects of this debate. And I think you yourself, that night, failed.
I don't know if I can play that end bit, because you know I'll get in terrible trouble at the station for going...
Why?
Because it got too personal out. calling me John and then going on about this and that. What I wanted just was a view of the evidence you gave. But you'd suddenly talking about my part of the radio and things like that.
Ask me a question,
I'll play it back and listen to it, but it did get rather personal. And
how did it get personal?
By personal, I mean you came from a personal point of view, where I was looking for an objective why you gave evidence to the committee, but you sort of transferred and turned it on to me.
I didn't turn it on to you. I'm simply...
I will have a listen
John,
to it. I will try and play it. But
if you don't play that, then you're censoring what I've just said, surely.
Well, obviously I'm censoring. Well, occasionally people say things and you think, well, we can't play that.
But why can't you play that?
Because people will think, well, this is just, I don't know what's going on. It's turning into a sort of a personal thing between two people.
It's not personal.
Radio.
It's not personal. How can it be personal? I haven't made it personal.
I'll play it.
I stated that you didn't make an interview with that person. If you want to make that personal, because you could have interviewed me, couldn't you? You could have interviewed me.
Anyway, I was saying, why weren't you at the CERN? So I didn't come from the point of view, but you were saying, why weren't you there? Why weren't you there?
But you went down that avenue. I went down the avenue you went down.
The alternative was me and Marion not going at all.
But you interviewed...
Me and Marion decided to go down there that evening to listen to what was said.
But you interviewed the other guy.
So we knew what was going on.
You interviewed the other person. Bill Dale.
I can't even remember.
You interviewed Bill Dale. Was the other person on that night?
I didn't...
Yes, you did. You were Marion, because... So you interviewed one, but not the other. I mean, don't you... You must think that's strange, because that's why you're objecting to this now, because you think you may have made a mistake, and, you know...
Well, we'll see. We'll see how much I play. Luckily, it's in my hands.
Well, I've got a copy here anyway.